Test, test. Okay, well, in order to have sound, I'm using my laptop speaker, so hopefully it's tolerable either way. Thanks for joining me. This is From Domain to Profit. I'm Drew Wash, and today we are going to talk about finding the money. We want to find the money so that way we can make it. So we will be talking about developing domain names being the .com real estate of the internet, and how we can turn that into a profit. Pretty straightforward. You'll find I like it easy. I like it straightforward. From domain to profit. Take a domain, turn it into a business. So if you are here, say hi to everybody in the chat. Like and subscribe this video. Subscribe to the channel. I think I'm just a couple away from 100 subscribers, which has been a goal of mine. So I'd love to have it. And I would typically roll some really awesome theme music. What the heck? Let's go for it. From domain to profit.
From domain to profit, from a .com to a business idea. Take a domain name, develop an income. From domain to profit, we'll show you how. Domain to profit, from domain to profit. Join Drew Wash and get started right now.
Okay, well, we don't always have things work out the right way because ultimately I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a business guy. I am not some crazy video guy, although I love playing with the toys. I got all these buttons I can push. Who out there loves buttons? I know I do. So thank you for joining me, and thanks for being here. I'll keep saying that, and I have a lot of people saying that it is sounding good. So thank you for being here, Andre, and Chaz, and Scott. Jason here, thanks for being here. Thanks for letting me know that sound's actually working. Hopefully it works. This is laptop sound. So, okay. Now let's get to the main stuff. So, what we try to do on this show is take domains that are available this week at domain auctions. So, these are auctions that are expiring this week, domains that are only available this week, and we basically look at turning them into businesses. So, we will plan a business for domain name that I don't even own. There's really nothing into it except for just doing some cool stuff and hopefully having some domains developed, because realistically that's what I want to do. I want to see less domains with those annoying ads on them and more domains bring value to the visitors and the people showing up on them, and then of course making you some money, giving you the life that you're looking for, the income you're looking for. So I like to get started with our first 3-minute business plan. So let me set up a 3-minute business plan. This is the template that we use over here on the 3-minute business plan, and on that URL down there, you'll find the where you can download it. It will change at some point. This is kind of our first version of it. And what you're going to find on here is taking it from domain all the way down to finding that audience, reaching and selling the product or service that we talk about, all within a 3-minute time frame. So it's going to happen kind of quick. We only have a few domains today, so we have something special planned where we're going to deep dive into finding the money on a couple different domains that are actually owned by several people. I went out to Twitter and kind of said, hey, what's some domains I can talk about and go deeper into. I'm going to show you how I would find the money, find the customer in the way that I would monetize that domain name, not just on a broad stroke like a 3-minute business plan, but specifics, like what page would I literally develop first. So, okay, well, hopefully that's interesting enough. The first domain up that we are going to work on is touragency.com. Touragency.com is over on GoDaddy. $237 is what it was as the point that I looked it up. 6 days left on that auction. So if you're not familiar with the domain auction, basically these are auctions where the former owner let it expire, and now it's coming up for auction as it enters back into the market to where anyone could pick it up. And here's the address over there to GoDaddy Auctions. That's where you would go to be able to find this domain, and just search it by name. So, touragency.com. Let's start the 3-minute timer and develop a business. So here we go, touragency.com. We always start with our audience and market. I say it every week. The reason we start with audience and market is because how do we need to know what problem we're solving, and how can we know the problem we're solving if we don't know the audience that we're solving it for, the people, the businesses that we're solving a problem for. So many people, one of the most common mistakes is to dive in and try to provide a solution, try to provide a product. And if you do that, you're going to have to find an audience one way or the other. So start with the audience, start with the money. We're going to dive into the audience a lot today. So who is our audience? Touragency.com. Let me pull up and share a screen here, and I will, I'm over on SEMrush, and I'm going to do a search for Tour Agency. And SEMrush is a tool that gives you some keyword information. Hopefully that's showing up for you. I had some tech issues with screen sharing last week. I always have tech issues. I don't know what that's about, tech issues. I'm a tech guy, kind of, but okay. So here, what we're showing here is the keyword for touragency.com. Specifically, this over here, this 2.9 thousand is the exact match for that term. I don't typically say tour agency. I've not heard many people say that. I personally actually own Travel Guide, or Travel Guides, one of the Travel Guides domain names that I plan on developing at some point once travel is a thing again. You'll see here though, 14.6 thousand searches globally, and you can see here India is actually pretty common as well. So it's a little more of a common term over in India. And what we are looking for is 1 minute left. Wow. Okay. So our audience is going to be, I love finding the local companies that provide tours, so the tour agencies that are around the globe, and getting each of them to list for a local search. So if you're looking for a tour agency in a specific location, you go into a site, you do a location search or the type of tour you're looking for, and you find those local independent companies that you would expect to find on a site like touragency.com, and you contact them directly. So I like it. I go the industry portal type model where you go to touragency.com looking for a tour agency. The problem is people are looking for a tour agency, several thousand a month. The solution is our website would provide them that solution of finding tour agencies. The authority of the domain name is how we would market ourselves, communicate with tour agencies as we call them up on the phone, and make them aware of what it is that we're doing. And there we go, 3 minutes. 3-minute business plan. I love travel domains like this one. I imagine it's going to get more expensive because tour agency, not the greatest keyword, but it's a pretty darn good keyword. So as always, how would you develop it? Share it in the chat. If you're watching this on Restream, share it in the comments. You know, if you were to own tour agency, what would you do with it? Where would your money come from? And for me, I would be charging the tour agencies specifically. But as we dive a little deeper later on, the revenue might not come from where you think. It might not come from those tour agencies. Like I say on the surface, we might find later that there might be somewhere else that we can make even more money than the actual tour agencies. So, alrighty. So I'm going to move on. So let's talk a little bit about what it is that we try to do here when we're developing a domain name. All too often, when I say developing a domain name, people are talking like, oh, you want to create some giant, crazy business. If you're ambitious and you want to do some crazy like development project, go for it. But on our sites, towing.com, DJs.com, photobooths.com. You'll find even one that's not even domain-based, but transportviews.com. You'll find very basic business models. Our revenue comes from a very basic business model. So let me just tell you, though, I asked on Twitter, take a little bit of a breath and slow it down a little. Okay. So I asked on Twitter, like, hey, what are some domains that ideally service-based? What domain would you like me to talk about finding the customers for, making the money for? And I got some different suggestions. Quite a few actually came in through Twitter, which we're going to talk about a few of those here in a little bit. But there's also a lot of domain names that could be developed but aren't the authoritative industry-defining domain names that I typically look for. When you're looking at developing a domain name, go over to Skycam. You have a domain name, and on that domain, a lot of times domain investors are looking to, they're going for sale, right? Many people buy for low, they're looking to sell for high. And a lot of times the domain name may be what we call a brandable or something that is more or less it doesn't describe something like towing.com. It is more of a, well, let me see what our next one, here in a couple domains, the next domain we'll do on a 3-minute business plan, I'll do autoremarket.com. It's not necessarily an industry-defining domain. So when we develop that domain, we're going to have to do what a lot of people think of, which is build more of a business that is going to take a lot of effort and take a lot of marketing and dollars to build it up, build the product, and of course get the people into the building. So this is often what people think of when they think of domain development. You're thinking that you want to build a business. So you could do that on any domain name. That's what I'm trying to show you here, is any domain name can build up a business. You can build up a business on any domain name, but there's another way that you can do this. It's the way that I do it is I call about and talk about tapping a domain name. So we're tapping a domain name, and basically we're just trying to turn on the spigot and just pull out some dollars. So you can either build this business up, drill down into the value of that domain name, and you can pump up the revenue, and hopefully your business that's sitting up here can generate revenue for you. Well, that's a lot of work. You know, you ever seen those, you've seen those manual pumps where you got to like pump the thing like crazy and you got to go like crazy, and you know, at first you get a couple drops of water and then you got to keep going, and you're so exhausted because it takes so much time to get that business going that, you know, a lot of people give up on it. That's the reason why they say if you're going to start a business, you got to start it in something you're really passionate about. Well, what if you're not passionate about the business, but you have a great domain name and you want to develop it to make money? Well, that's where tapping comes in. That's where this here comes in. We're talking about tapping. What can we do to take some of the value of that domain name, the potential? So some domain names sell for a bunch of money, and even though they sell for a bunch of money, they have a lot of potential, but realistically, there's maybe not a lot of exact keyword matches. We'll talk about that a little bit. We actually did talk about it with Tour Agency. Those 5,000 or a couple thousand people that are searching exactly for the keyword of that domain name, that's one way to think of the potential or the value of that domain name. People are already looking exactly for what that domain name is expected to have on it. I did a survey just recently and asked on Twitter, and I put some money behind it so that way I wanted to make sure that it was people outside of domainers answering this. And I asked basically, what would you expect to find on towing.com? Or would you expect to find towing companies on towing.com? Very straightforward, because realistically, I know domainers, we all are used to, you know, thinking about our domain names as, you know, precious little babies that have all the potential in the world. Well, 2/3 of people that answered that said yes, they expect to find towing companies on towing.com. That is that potential. That is the value and potential, exact match. The authority is another one. These are parts of a domain name that is, if you have a quality enough domain name, you're going to have these parts that are built into your business already. So towing has 100,000 some exact match keywords every month. When you say towing, 2/3 of people expect to find towing companies on it. That is what we're looking for. Of course, towing is a super expensive domain name, but you can do it with smaller domain names. For example, touragency.com or some of the domains we're going to talk about today as well. So what we're looking for, though, is drips. Instead of pumping all this money up, what can we do to just pull some of that money out, just pull some subscription out, little drip, little money. And realistically, this is exactly this here. Boom, boom, star, crazy drawings. This is what I've spent my entire life doing. I've been trying to figure out how to tap domain names to make revenue, to tap domain names to turn it into a business. I've been doing this like for over 20 years now, taking a domain name, finding the right ones, finding the right formula to pull just some money out. Is it as much as you possibly could make? Absolutely not. But is it enough that I will likely never sell a developed domain name? Yeah. I would never sell towing.com as a domain name anymore. It's a business. It's a business now. Okay. Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. Hey, Michael. Hey, those who are joining me. Scott, thanks for subscribing. I appreciate that. Super awesome. I got to put you up on the screen there for that one. And same for Dulia's here. Okay. So hopefully you can kind of see the mission that we're going for here. I see so many domain developers or domain owners that are like, just sell the thing. Don't look to develop it. I get it. You may be an investor, not a developer, but choose that one. Pick one domain name and just tap it. Let's see if we can figure out a way to just tap it. That's what we're out to do. So let me do another 3-minute business plan, and then we're going to talk more specifically about tapping domain names, finding the money, the easiest possible way, the most simple possible way. Often it's not the way you might think. It's even not the way that I talk about sometimes in these 3-minute business plans. I'm learning all the time. I learned something last week, and that's why I'm so excited to share this stuff with you. So let's do another 3-minute business plan. And as I mentioned, I'm going to do autoremarket.com, and this one is going to be over on GoDaddy. $12 is what it was currently. And as always, these domains end up going up towards the last couple minutes. And let's do a 3-minute business plan for autoremarket.com. So autoremarket.com is a little bit more of a blank slate. It's what I would consider more of a brandable. Auto could be any kind of, it could be vehicles, or it could be automatic, an abbreviation for it. And does that sound simple? Yes, except for the reason why I say that is when I put this on the show, I was thinking a service where you help local car dealers with their marketing, with their remarketing. Remarketing is when people view a video or visit your website, and then you want to bring them back into your business. So, those ads that follow you all over Facebook or all over Google, you go to a web page and now you're seeing a bunch of those ads. That's remarketing. So my thought was that we would go with car dealers. However, I want to go a little more techie with this. So that's one option would be car dealerships handle their remarketing. I like the idea of automatic remarketing. Because I will tell you that as a guy that is, okay, so my audience is small businesses that want to remarket. The problem is if you deal with the website and you deal with remarketing, so setting those cookies for Facebook or Google, remarketing is a pain in the butt to set up. And, anytime that something's difficult, that means there's a great opportunity for you to provide a solution, whether it's training or whether it's a actual coded service. Depending on your tech, you might go just putting up people's training on how to remarket, or you can go and create a solution to help with their remarketing. So small businesses are market. I would probably niche it down to something more specific to an interest or a hobby you have to start with. For me, I'd probably do something in transportation. That's what I deal with a lot of times. Problem is remarketing is a pain in the butt. Solution is autoremarket.com allows you to put your remarketing and recapturing your customers automatically through our either training system that shows you how to do all of your remarketing super simply to where it's on automatic, or the solution could be a more elaborate service where you enter your Facebook Pixel ID, you enter your Google remarketing ID, and we handle getting some of that stuff on your website, or more of a full service type service. If that sounds too technical, because that's so technical, I'm going to go with the idea of a training system where auto remarket, if you want to put your remarketing on autopilot, this is where we're getting a unique selling proposition. If you want to put it on autopilot, go to autoremarket.com where you can find out how to do that. And in an hour, you can learn how to put and do auto remarketing for your website. I don't know. They're not all home runs, but a great domain name, super cheap over on GoDaddy currently. So hopefully it stays cheap. Hopefully somebody can get it that's interested in that marketing and learning about that. I'm sure there's trainings that are out there that you can just, help somebody out, and maybe they offer a commission or something like that to help them out with their remarketing or selling their product or service. So I don't know. So how would you develop it? Always curious to know. Make sure you let me know in the chat or in the comments. And you can, of course, always wait until the auction's done. I know no one ever likes to tip their hand and give away what they're going to bid on. I know I don't. Actually, that's not true. Half these I bid on, which later on, in fact, we'll talk about it right now. We'll talk about a domain name that I did bid on quite heavily and lost. And when I put out on Twitter, I'm going to get real close to the camera here and start to work on pulling up some information on the screen. So I went out on Twitter earlier and I asked, hey, what industry-defining domain name would you like to have developed to potentially, I'll put it on the show, we'll deep dive, we'll go and find where the customers are for that site. And I had lots of different responses. And so one of them was actually for, I'm just sharing over to my Twitter here. Hopefully nothing too personal shows up. And if so, then that's just the chance I take. So I'm trying to find that post. Okay. So I asked, anyone have any industry-defining domain names they'd like for me to discuss on today's show? Ideally service-based, and services, I just consider them easier. And one of the responses here was for musicschools.com. And specifically, as he says here it is. So Music Schools, he beat me at the auction, and I looked this up, and it looks like it was actually, I was kind of like, my gut was like, I probably was bidding around 3,600 or so for that. And actually, I think it went up to like $7K. Hopefully you're okay with me sharing that, because ultimately, hopefully, here's what we'll do. I mean, we're about to figure out how to make $7K easily. Like, that's the goal, right? If you're going to pay big money for a domain name, you want to make big money. So what I'm going to do is something we've never done before. To my knowledge, we've never done it before. We're going to talk about a domain name that somebody actually owns. Studio Ventures is his Twitter handle. If you want to follow him, see the progress of what he does with musicschools.com. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at mapping this industry. So actually, before I get to mapping, I just gave away what I want to do. I want to talk about the monetization that I look for. You can make money a bunch of different ways with a website. You can sell something, get a one-time payout. You can, make a partial commission. What I look for on nearly all of my businesses nowadays, I think over 90% of my revenue is reoccurring revenue, so subscription-based revenue. Let me go back to this real quick to say these drips that are coming out here, when we tap a domain name, we're trying to pull value out of that domain name. One of the things that is always lost in any of our lives or in any domain we own is time. Time is always lost. So even if you're looking to sell that domain name, the opportunity of that domain name being developed right now is lost. So as time goes on, you're losing any period of time that you didn't sell that domain name. So when we talk about tapping, essentially each one of the drips that we're talking about, we're trying to pull out money. So in my experience, what I've found is that running reoccurring subscription-based businesses is by far my preference. Subscription is the way that I want to go. You'll find towing.com, my members all pay me monthly subscriptions. Transport Reviews, they're all monthly subscriptions. Even when I sell leads, instead of selling it per lead, which is something I used to do quite often, I actually have a subscription to where they pay a monthly fee instead of per lead. So that way I can have that drip, 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 and I always know, give or take, 5, 10%, I always know what my revenue is going to be this month, next month, and so on. And when things, so realistically, if you're trying to build up a business that is a lifestyle business, something you can count on, income substitution, something that's secure, well, reoccurring revenue is what everyone's looking for, including me, which is why I design my businesses around them. So what I'm looking for here and what I want to, when I develop out businesses, I a lot of times look for ways to pull a primary baseline, the foundation of a site. I look for reoccurring revenue. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully if you're looking for developing a business, reoccurring revenue is what you're looking for as well. So you'll get something out of this next little section. So what we want to talk about now is industry mapping. This is something that you'll a lot of times need to do, especially when you go to find a domain name. You ever been participating or looking to buy a domain name and you think it'll go for some price, maybe a few hundred, maybe a few thousand, and you're bidding on it because you know there's something there and you've not fully researched it. That's how I bid a lot of times. Like these domains, I've not researched them really. I've just kind of went off gut. Well, when you go to research them, suddenly you need to, so say you're in that auction. So let me just tell you an example. Photobooth.com. I was participating in photobooth.com. I bought that as an expired domain name. And I kind of in the back of my head was like, oh, this is going to be $6,000 to $9,000. Already had approval from the missus. She always gives me any domain that's going to be super expensive. I try to get a little bit of pre-approval, and so I was approved up to I think like $9,000 or $8,800, something like that. So I had that, and that was my max, and it hit that within like 2 minutes, it really quickly. Once this auction got going, it blew past that, and I was in panic mode because I really wanted the domain name, but ultimately it was going for more than that. So I do what I'm going to do with you here. I started to map that industry. I started to find out if and how I can pay more for that domain name. What kind of revenue can I generate? How would I generate it? So I started to go in panic mode and did the research to find out that, yes, this domain name, it represents a great growing industry, good keyword, exact matches, and there's a lot of business in B2B market, so business to business there's a good market there, which business to business is where the money is. And we'll find that as we map this market. But I want to, instead of do photo booths, I'm going to do musicschools.com, which was the Studio Ventures, the domain name that he crushed me on NameJet or Snap Names, one of the auctions out there. So musicschools.com is the domain, and I'm going to be doing a lot of Skycam on this, and I will spell stuff wrong, and it will be messy, but hopefully you'll get something out of it here. So musicschools.com, first thing I want to do is go over and check out the keyword searches for music schools. The first place I always look is the exact match. So when I pulled up music schools, you'll find here there's 5.4 thousand. It's this number here on SEMrush.com starts with exact match. And as you go down a little bit, you'll see that there's tons of traffic, but it's all this High School Musical, like, really? Like, I don't know, High School Musical, like, who wants, basically, you're not going to buy that domain, and hopefully you did not buy the domain for the purpose of, trying to profit off High School Musical. I can't imagine for the life of me there's much of a market there other than maybe teenage girls or something, but okay. So we have to ignore those, and we're going to dive into, we got to find the profit, we got to find the money. So I'm going to go down here, and I want to go look for exact keyword matches. I'm diving into the keywords, and everything's going to be, I'm going to select exact matches up here. And there's lots of tools that you can do this kind of thing with. I use SEMrush. There's Ahrefs, which is ahrefs.com. There is moz.com, moz.com. A bunch of them out there that try to give you keyword estimates. So what you're going to see here is when it actually loads, when I do screen share, things get a bit slow. So hopefully it pulls up here pretty okay. Okay, so here's what we like to see. Best music schools, 2,400 music schools in New York. That's actually kind of interesting because that gives us a specific location to target. So music schools. And you might be like, so Drew, you're writing down the exact match for the domain. Yeah, music schools, absolutely. So New York, specific music schools, best music schools in the U.S. So we're looking for the different keywords. The nice thing, so look at this, another one, music schools California, music schools Chicago. The reason why I like finding local ones or ones that are resulting in location is you may remember the few weeks ago I talked about getting your first 300 customers, and we talk about using the local Legion 300, getting one customer in the largest 300 cities in the U.S. There's over 300 cities that have a population of 100,000 or more people. So if you just find one customer in each of those 300 cities, you have your first 300 customers. And if you're a recurring business, charging as little as $10 a month, it's a lot of work to get that 300. But once you do, you'll have $3,000 a month off of that baseline directory type product, which is one of the things I like to do. So I like industry portals. So as we look through here, there's these different keywords. So music schools are going to be the main thing. So now what I want to do, though, is this is something. Okay, I seem to have just lost that one now. Apologies. That's why we do this live. Okay. So part of industry mapping, though, is thinking about more than just that one specific thing. So if I'm a super cerebral guy. I love the logic. I love the thinking things through linear and just logically. So I get carried away and jump around. If I do that, hit me up in chat if you're watching live. Ask comments if you're watching restream. But what I'm trying to do right now is find the money for musicschools.com. And there are two different ways that we can map this industry. The first being we can do horizontal mapping. So horizontal would be if we find, say, New York. So we saw New York, we saw Chicago. Oh my dear goodness. Okay, why can I not spell Chicago? Anyhow, I'm Chicago. Is that right? Okay. I'm not a speller, obviously. Chicago, Cincinnati. See, I can spell Cincinnati because I'm in Cincinnati. Can you spell Cincinnati? Cincinnati? Yeah. Well, okay. So you make fun of me for Chicago, but okay. So horizontal mapping, we're going to be looking at adding more locations. So we have music schools as our main source of revenue, and we're looking to add 300 music schools across, basically New York, Chicago, Cincinnati, 300 different locations. That would be horizontal. They're all going to be music schools, but there's going to be 300 different locations. So that's one of the ways that we can find, and that would be horizontal. And we're looking for 300. So what you might find, though, is that music schools maybe they're all nonprofit or something. Maybe they don't make money. There could be any number of different reasons why music schools might not be your source of revenue, or maybe not your best source of revenue. So what we need to do is we need to look at an industry vertically as well. And with vertical, what we're looking for is music schools. What are the related products and services that go with music schools? Because what you'll find is out here, there's all the customers that are looking for music schools. These are the, 4,000 people were looking for music schools? Well, behind here are all kinds of business people. These are all the vendors and the instrument people that are basically looking to sell to the music schools. That's the key. These are the, let me just tell you. I played trumpet in high school and college, and in many schools, when you are in elementary school, the way that they start the band or start instruments is, in my case, Buddy Rogers Music came in, and they were there to do a presentation to sell instruments. Like, they came into the school, and they're like, hey, you can sell, lease, buy, rent a trumpet and play trumpet in the band. And I'm like, okay, mom and dad, I volunteer you to pay whatever it is, $23 a month for a trumpet for me to start playing. So in the case of this industry, music schools are going to have, say, instrument sellers. That's going to be a trumpet. There would be the people that are selling the instruments or leasing the instruments in the background. Maybe music schools, if they're doing it right, they're going to have to license their actual music. There's probably big money reoccurring in that. So what we are just trying to do is who are the vendors that sell to the music schools? And the reason we want to know that is because those vendors, those businesses, are typically willing to pay money to reach music schools. Okay, I'm hoping I'm doing okay at relating this. Here's what it comes down to. Customers are looking for a music school. Music schools are out to serve them by providing a music school. And basically, in order to do that, music schools need to buy instruments, they need to buy music, they need to have chairs, they need to pay for all the different things that go with a music school. So instead of making the money listing music schools, you might do something to where the music schools register for free, and then you're selling to these people back here Because let's say you have 1,000 music schools registered on your website for free. You have 1,000 companies registered here. Well, you know who's going to want to reach those music schools? People selling instruments, people selling music, people selling anything related to music at all that would benefit from reaching music schools, because music schools have the audience of actual music students. Does that make sense? Hopefully that gives a little bit of an insight of you can make your money behind the scenes on music schools. And so now let's see, let's go back to our screen share and let's see how many instruments, oh my goodness, where's autocorrect? Instruments for sale. Okay, there we go. Spell check. Instruments for sale. So while music schools may be our primary domain name, what we're looking for now is kind of other keywords that are really competitive. So instruments for sale, 800. I'm going to change this. Let's go and let's broaden this up. So in this case, SEMrush gives us an option for like a broad match. So let's see what that gives us. Total volumes 23,000. Not really feeling that. Let's go to related. Give us something good. And this is just me guessing at a keyword. Okay, so now we're expanded out. Total volume of what we're about to see is going to be 3 million, 3.8 million. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to organize this by volume. And we're just trying to see, okay, so Guitar Center, Reverb, Music Friends, music store near me. There you go, music stores. Okay, so we have a big keyword. Music stores are looking for music students. Where are music students hanging out? Music students are hanging out at music schools. Okay, so you see, so we just took a site that was only able to really reach an audience of like 4,000 people looking for music schools. But instead of reaching the audience that's looking for music schools, we say, hey, we have the music schools on our site, and we provide through musicschools.com resources for that music school to get business, to find customers, to get better at internet marketing. And then now that we have music schools in our market, our audience suddenly becomes all the people that want to reach the music schools. And how many of those? Well, we have music stores that want to do it, hundreds of thousands of searches per month, guitar store, if the music school teaches, like the keyword volume here that we're looking at, musical instruments, 49,000, musicians, ooh, that's, maybe that there's musicians for hire through the musicschools.com. So what you're able to do is expand this industry. We're able to expand this idea of music schools beyond music schools. So we get people in the door, we get them to show up on musicschools.com, because that's where we're building a directory, we're building a database of music schools around you, and then from there, we basically are expanding that to the entire industry. So maybe, like I said, you might give music schools free listings. I don't like to give free listings to businesses, but what you might do is have a tiered listing. You might do a one-time registration fee or something super cheap just to make sure it's a real music school, because otherwise you'll get a bunch of spam. They register as a music school. You get them on your list that way because you're musicschools.com, which hopefully you have music schools with a lead page up on there, so that way you're capturing leads. That's one of the first things you do when you put up a domain. Start capturing the leads. But then you register the music schools. Some of them will pay, some of them won't. But if you build enough music schools in your database, you'll be able to go out to Mr. Music School and be like, hey, we run, or instrument seller person. Instrument seller person. I wonder if there's a name for that. I don't know. I got nothing. So you go out to the people that are selling instruments, you'd be like, hey, we run musicschools.com. We have, 300 different music schools that are on our site, and we think that we're a great match. And then you apply what we talk about often in our idea sales piece, which is if I will you. If I will you. If I put up a page featuring companies that sell instruments, would you be interested in being in the top spot on that page? And it'd be a nationwide spot, and we'll only charge you $500 a month, $250 per month. And say it's nationwide. So say they ship these instruments, which I imagine quite a few music stores will ship an instrument, especially if it's like a student trumpet or something like that. You can essentially create a method of just by each. So now we have, let me go back to this. So now on that site, we have a page of for sale. So now we have a page that's for anybody selling instruments. Boom, 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 boom. They paid $200 a month. And now this page here, this one page might be the one that generates thousands of dollars for your company. Like that's what we're going for. What's going to be the path to generating the revenue for your company? That's what we're looking for. In this case, it might be this one right here. It might be the instruments for sale. It might be get your sheet music downloads, or something. Maybe there's music. Maybe they sell sheet music or recording studio time. You can have a page for that. And maybe that page, you charge $100 per month for that or something. You find these little niches that exist inside of your industry, and those may be where the riches lie. Okay? Like it might be in those. So when we started towing.com, taking up a lot of time on this, hopefully there's some good stuff coming out of it. When we started towing.com, we knew that we wanted to develop a paid membership site where towing companies would pay us a monthly fee for us to help them with their internet marketing. But ultimately, we knew that it was going to take a lot of towing companies for that to ever be kind of profitable or worth the effort that we're going to put into it. So we knew that we also had to pay our bills, which we went out, I flew out to California, put my house on the line to pay $175 for towing.com, and super risky at the time for me, but we had to pay the bills, and I knew that it was going to take us a long time to get those individual towing companies to sign up. So what we did was we mapped that industry, we mapped the towing industry, and what we found was that one of the pieces of towing was long distance towing. So we found that people were looking to ship long distance, and luckily for us, we knew that industry pretty well. We put up one page on towing.com. It was the long distance towing page. In fact, I'll pull it up. It's not the prettiest page on the site anymore, but I just want to show you because I don't want, all too often when people, when you hear domain development, you might be thinking, I can't do this, it's too complicated, I'm going to fail, all the different voices that might be going through your head. Well, let me just tell you this. Towing.com, which is a rather large site anymore, it's our primary source of revenue. It all started with this page right here. Like literally this, like you can do this, right? Like you can put up, and this has been updated. It wasn't like this clean up here. It was like a logo on the top, and it said long distance towing, and we sold these spots for a few $100s a month. That was it. I mean, I hope that you can see that's such a simple page. We were making, I want to say that page was made $3,000 a month within a month of us owning towing.com. $3,000 a month within a month of us owning. It does not make that anymore. It's been neglected, which is what brought me to this conversation. We haven't mapped the towing industry for a really, really long time. We paid our bills with that long distance towing page, but ultimately we've relied and grown through local towing companies for so long that, we're just now getting back to like, hey, let's look at this towing industry. And what we're finding is, realistically, we probably came at it all wrong. Like, we probably should have done more in the companies that want to sell to towing companies. So I will say this publicly. My wife has been telling me that that's the way to go for many years. And I have been pushing the local stuff. So shout out to Crystal, who's right one more time, and I'm wrong. And yeah, she's looking she just peeked around the corner and smiling. Anyhow, I love it so much. Okay, so listen to your wives if they give you advice on that, maybe. At least you can listen to mine. So basically what we're going to be doing with Towing.com is remapping that industry and finding the pieces that look to sell to towing companies. We have thousands of towing companies on Towing.com. You may only have hundreds of music schools or dozens of music schools, but by aggregating, you're making it very easy for businesses to sell to your customers. This is like, when you bid on a keyword, you're bidding on a keyword because people are searching for a specific topic. Marketers are looking to reach people on a topic. And here we are, we have a niche domain name and site related to towing with thousands of towing companies. And you know who wants to reach towing companies? People that sell tow trucks, people that finance tow trucks, people that insure tow trucks, people that do all kinds of things in towing. Like it's yes, exactly, Michael. Here we go. Wife's always right, and this one especially. Happy wife, happy life, for sure, without a doubt. And that is the motto, and she's been right more often than not. But find those back that map that industry. Like there's, I typically do this, and I actually meant to do that, and I kind of forgot. Post-it notes like crazy. I have like entire sheets of these things everywhere. This is actually how I was supposed to map this, and I kind of forgot. I get on here, get the camera, get hanging out with you guys, and I'm like, lose my mind. But take a Post-it note, and before you even open up SEMrush, just start writing anything you think they need to buy. So in music schools need to buy chairs, they need to buy music stands, they need to buy acoustic stuff, they need to buy music, they need to they're going to need marketing services to reach students, they're going to need software to manage their music school, they're going to need all kinds of different services, they're going to need insurance, they're going to need basically they're going to need a lot of stuff that small businesses need. And you're going to find that for every Post-it note, you just write them on one at a time. Write, insurance, boom, pop it on and just make a giant wall. Just post them all up on your wall, all the different pieces. And what you're going to, then afterwards, you can go and you would research music school insurance. Find out who's there. Are there companies that sell specifically to music schools? Same with instrument school, bulk instruments for students, student instruments, whatever it is that, Buddy Rogers Music, they're going to sell student instruments, write it down. Whatever your thoughts are, then you group them, and then you start to research those industries, and you're going to find riches will be in those little industries that hide behind the scenes of music schools. And you might just find that you might give the listings away for free just so you can make the back side of things. Think about magazines. It just occurred to me, like magazines, they typically don't care about your subscription price, right? In most cases, the subscription price is just to pay for postage. And how they made their money or how they make their money is the advertisers. They make, millions off of the advertisers. Why? Because who's going to read my goodness, I don't even get many magazines anymore, but who's going to read Minecraft gaming magazine? People that like Minecraft, right? So all the ads in there are going to be for people that are trying to reach people that are interested in Minecraft. You're just grouping that audience together. Okay, well, hopefully there's some good stuff there. So So let me know. Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments. If so, we have horizontal, which is adding more music schools, adding more of the industry. But then vertical would be finding all those behind the scenes services that want to sell to music schools. And then you map that out, and that's industry mapping. So that's how you find the money. That's how you find your customer. You might give something, I'm asked all the time, would you give it away free? I give nothing away free. Somebody has to pay. Somebody has to pay. But you might give the listings away free because on the backside, you have a bigger fish. You have a different company that is willing to flip the bill. So, okay. Well, I want to do one more 3-minute business plan to wrap us up, just because that's kind of how we do things here. And we will do, let me get reset back up, reacquainted. And let me just tell you I was going to run through landsurvey.com and map that industry. Sorry, Peter, I wanted to mess with that for you, but, and that's this one here. That'd be Land Survey. Great keyword. Searchbound is who Peter's handle on Twitter. We'll have to do that another week. That's a domain that's plagued him as far as like, it's not a sexy business, but maybe you can apply this, Peter, to Land Survey. You know, maybe the actual surveyors, you know, you just register them just so you can sell to somebody that sells to the land surveyor. Maybe. Okay, so for the last, I have 2 different domains. I'm going to go with a product-based business. We've been talking about services, local services. I'm going to go with plannerpages.com. I like to bring up domains of various prices. And let me just show you this one, customglass.com. This one is up for auction on GoDaddy. I like this domain name. I like it quite a bit. But as you can see, it's going to go for a pretty good, pretty penny. So I'm going to choose to talk about plannerpages.com. But just so you know, customglass.com is up for auction as well. Plannerpages.com, we're going to do a 3-minute to wrap us up. So on the clock, plannerpages.com, the domain name sets the platform. I'm thinking very much along the lines of those old paper planners, you know, the old, what the heck were they ever called, timekeepers or desk keepers or something like that. The audience are people like me that have a lot of stuff going on, have trouble keeping it together. I like the idea of selling a digital or physical product that are pages that help you plan and organize your life. The problem is life is freaking complex. There's a lot of moving pieces, especially if you do something like entrepreneurship and you have business and ideas and you want to organize those thoughts. You need a way to do it. So plannerpages.com is products either that you create or that other people create to help you plan your life. So Planner Pages, solution being the products and or services related to planning, all on one place, plannerpages.com. I'll just say, like, so one thing you might sell on there, I have these, hopefully you can see them. I have these, nope, that's not going to show up. So these are sticky notes that I couldn't find anything like this. And basically, when we do a lot of stuff in this company because we're developing out a bunch of different domain names, but once you develop it, you still have to run it. So I was having trouble. I still have trouble, but I'm always trying to figure out how to organize a project. And basically, this is a sticky note that helps me organize, like, what's the project? What's the outcome or objective? What's the next action? Who owns it? What's the priority? All on one sheet. This is the kind of thing you might find on like a plannerpages.com. And what I'm saying, I always try to sell, or I always try to create solutions for my unique situation. This is going to be, I'll go to Skycam. So here's a calendar system that I made, and here's the Post-it note. So this calendar, basically, I've always liked the idea of just a calendar on one page, but instead of, like, everybody wants to do the squares. So instead of doing squares, I wanted it like 1 month, one line, so I could see it in all in one place. And I used to have a place that would do that. They stopped carrying it, so I had to make my own. So I literally went and hired a graphics guy to create a calendar in this format. That's the kind of thing you can put right there on plannerpages.com and helping people organize. And you could do these in digital format, like a $9.99 download or a printed, laminated, all the stuff that you would do from a product-based thing. So problem, solution, or the products you'll find on plannerpages.com. I just realized my timer. Okay. Well, I'm sure 3 minutes is up. Authority is the domain name. It sounds, you can hear what it is, plannerpages.com. Pages that help you plan your life, awareness. I like to do products, do pay-per-click or paid advertising with content and things to build up your SEO over time. So hopefully you got some good content. Hopefully you got some good information. Ultimately, we're all out to develop domain names, provide for our families, and build a life for ourselves that allows us to have the freedom, flexibility to do what we want when we want. And that's what we're out to do here on From Domain to Profit, is take those domains and help you turn it into a life, into something that just changes your life that you created, that you built. Or that you hired somebody to build. But either way, it was your vision, your idea, and you brought something into this world that wasn't there before. So we're most happy and proud of our kids and what we create. So go create something. So this is Drew, and this has been From Domain to Profit. I will see you back here next week at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Take care.
From domain to profit, from a .com.